Hello, hello, and welcome back to that Mill podcast, your go-to show for all things Millwall. My name's Omer. Joining me today, I've got Frankie. Hello, mate. How are you?
Very good, mate. How you doing?
Not too shabby. This is going out on the 1st of July, so we're one month closer to the start of the season, mate. I can't wait to get going. I don't know about you.
Yeah, down the days, mate. It's like it's been forever, done it, since last game of the season already.
Yeah, mate, it is. And this, I think, obviously, we spoke about on Friday's show, but the absentee of international football, the Club World Cup's not really wetting the appetite, it's fair to say, mate. So, yeah, honestly just can't wait to get going. I think today is a good opportunity, though, for us, myself and Frankie, to take stock. Obviously, the players returned for pre-season the end of last week, and we're going into July, as mentioned already. And now's a good time to really delve into the squads and look at what we've got and maybe suggest areas for improvement. So we'll go through position by position. Frankie's put together a couple of nice graphics for us, as this, the nerdy is, as I labelled him last week. But yeah, it's good. Say that again.
Appreciate that, mate.
Mate, I think they're good stuff, in fairness. So I'll give you your flowers for that. But yeah, now the dust has settled on 24-25, it's time to take a step back and ask some big questions. Who's under stripes and who's just not cutting it anymore? And most importantly, where do we need to strengthen if we're serious about pushing on to next season? If you're new around here, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, give us your interactions, give us your thoughts and feedback. If you agree with my take, be sure to let me know. And if you disagree with Frankie's, be sure to let him know too. Right, there we are. Frankie, let's go straight into it. As I mentioned, players are back for pre-season end of last week. A lot of people just get excited. I personally like to see all the pictures and stuff when they turn up and the new training kits out and stuff. And I thought also it's a good opportunity to look at the squad. But I mean, yeah, you can't beat that buzz, can you? Especially when it's a sustained break. And it always feels like it's in touching distance now, isn't it, to seeing the lights play again?
Yeah, exactly, mate. I think it always starts to come alive for me when you start seeing return to a training ground and you see some players you forgot even existed. And then you start seeing some of the rumours fly through as well. It starts getting really exciting, doesn't it? Suddenly the football's back almost, and you're within touching distance, and and then the first game of the season, we're at Rock Round, and we'll hate it again. So this is the good bit, really, if anything.
That's it, mate. And obviously, pre-season friendlies, always good to get to them and stuff. Obviously, we've got Sutton, Bromley, and Wimbledon. The close games and stuff, always good to go to and stuff to see some action and start to see how the team shapes up on the pitch. I mean, we're looking on the pitch, but we're looking more off the pitch as well, aren't we, in a sense, and talking almost strategically, I suppose, we're going to look at today. As mentioned already, Frankie prepared this little graphic for us, and I will flash it on screen now just to quickly show. So we've got the current first team picture at the club. So Frankie's kindly put this together for us. And obviously, we've got goalkeepers to discuss, defenders, right back position in particular, might be an area for improvement, and also left back. I mean, we might maybe, whilst we're recording, see some news potentially, who knows. But across the midfield, obviously, Mitchell, the North players that are quite settled, but obviously a few youngsters involved as well. And there's a few talking points, isn't there, mate? I think there's no better place to start than from the back and the back of the net, and says the goalkeeping position. We've already seen one arrival, being Crocombe. I'm going to say that's how I'm going to pronounce his name. And obviously, then we've got Jensen, Evans, and obviously one absentee. I mean, Evans is, well, Jensen's the absentee for injury, but also Evans is due to sign his contract, we believe, and probably be announced tomorrow, I imagine. But let's talk a bit about the goalkeeping position, mate, I suppose. I mean, what's your take initially when you look at that, and obviously when you put this together for us?
Yeah, I think the goalkeeper position is probably pretty indicative of where the whole squad is, in my opinion. You'd look at it on face value and say there's actually enough there, but there's so many question marks over at least two of the three players, and the one that we know, touch wood, will be fit for the first game of the season. We've never seen kick a ball. We have obviously glowing references from Burton, but it feels like an area where we still need at least one more, right? So I don't know what your thoughts are on goalkeeper. I think we definitely need one, just to give us a little bit of strength in depth. I personally am not sure I saw enough from Evans to be comfortable with him having to depth size, or if Crow can kind of adapt to this level. So I'd certainly want one more.
For sure. I mean, yeah. So obviously, the main talking point, new arrival in the net is Max Crocombe, as mentioned already. We haven't really done a show on him per se, but we touched on Friday. We do know Burton fans were quite sad to see him go, and but kind of wished him well in a sense as well, which might be maybe a testament to his character. He seems like he was quite a light person there, made himself the number one. Bit on his background, obviously, he's a New Zealand international. I think he played 2 games for them in June. He seems to be an interesting one, isn't it? I think obviously Jensen is the big glaring one, isn't it? With this Achilles injury he's got. and we don't know when he's going to be back, if he's going to be the same. I mean, his kicking maybe was flattering to the sea, but the best of times was a criticism a lot of my pals said, and even I said it a few times on occasion. But you're right. I think with Coden coming in, inexperienced at championship level, it feels like perhaps then maybe there is a void there. We'll talk about maybe potential additions or areas to improve towards the end of the video, but it does feel like on the face value there, like we're a bit short still almost with Evans, like you said, a good deputy, but maybe someone that maybe it could do with going out on loan this season, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be good for his development to get another, to get a real 30, 40 game season under his belt where he can see how he does. I mean, it's tough for goalkeepers, right? Most teams only have one that plays a decent amount of football in a season, unless they go for injuries like we did. So he might have to drop down to a level that we sit there and face it and think, non-league South, is he better than that? It doesn't really matter as long as he's playing. I mean, obviously one of the rumours today was around Dean Thornton, who's coming in from Southampton, previously at MK Dons and Swansea, and there was obviously huge emphasis with Russell Martin sides around playing it out from the back and that slow, gradual build-up and keepers being good with the ball at their feet. Personally, I'm not really convinced that any of our keepers could currently do that or do what would be asked in that sort of system. So it'd be really interesting to see if we was to recruit another one, would we try and go more down that route of someone that can actually put their foot on the ball, kick a pass, and play into that way? It's not the Millwall way. It's probably not what we're used to, but if you're going to get a goalkeeper coach that's used to doing that, it would seem odd then to completely ignore that skill set, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I think just to touch on D4, I did have a quick little dive. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page per se, but I think he hails from West London initially. Obviously, you had spells of Swansea, like you mentioned, Southampton as such as well. Bit of a left field one. Like, I mean, you mentioned obviously the playing style difference, but maybe that's more of a directive from the manager at the time. Russell Martin, quite keen on that style. I think when you say that, it instantly turns me off, mate. Thinking, I don't want to see
Me
that.
too. Me too.
But it is an interesting one, isn't it? He seems to be quite progressive. He's obviously had Premier League experience, works with real high caliber goalkeepers.
Yeah.
I wonder as well. I mean, we used to rely, well, in previous regimes, quite heavily on the goalkeeping coach, like Andy Marshall brought in Sarkic, for example. Maybe he's got someone in his mind that he might be able to put in from left field, maybe for us as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was always really impressed by Gavin Bazunu at Southampton. I thought he was going to be a fantastic keeper. Obviously, then got a really bad injury. There's a deal to be done there on the cheap. I'd certainly have him. I think Will Still's brought in his own person. That's why he's obviously available for work. But
Yeah.
it took me by surprise. I think, like yourself, I was expecting someone much more in the mould of what we previously had rather than a all-out possession or ball on the floor goalkeeper coach.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hopefully, he's not going to try the old playing it out from the back nonsense with centre backs.
It'd be interesting to see what he makes of the current goalkeeping setup too, I suppose, as well. So yeah, time will tell on that one. I think we're maybe touching on maybe what we might think towards the end of the video there, but I think there might be definitely space for potentially a new addition in the goalkeeping department. Let's bring back up this graphic again. I'm going to go with the centre halves initially because it seems to be, for me anyway, the most covered across the back line. And obviously, Japhet Tanganga, questionable one as well, which we'll come back onto in a sec. Tristan Crammer, Wes Harding, Jake Cooper, and obviously Kamal Grant, who had a loan spell last season at Bromley. 2 seasons in a row at Bromley, wasn't it, for him as well? So, I mean, what you thinking, obviously, with the existing options there, mate? I mean, obviously, Cooper and Tanganga, the formidable partnership last season, they both complement each other quite well. But the elephant in the room, I suppose, is how long are we going to have Japhet Tanganga for with his release clause, mate? That's the real fear and worry, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, as you said, at the minute, looking at them list of names, I don't think I'll bother getting centre back in. I think we probably do need a long-term solution at left-sided centre back with Cooper obviously getting to the twilight of his career. He'll probably hate that's the fact I said that, by the way, and I would say that to his face. But yeah, if Jaff was to go, I think we have got a bit of a headache there, and you then suddenly need maybe 2 centre backs. So it's an interesting one. On the face of things, that's probably one area you'd sit there and say at the minute I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
But again, the ongoing theme is that there's a lot of question marks over that position. I do think it's stronger than last year. The start of the season, we had Wallace and Hutch. I think this group is a stronger group than that was.
Yeah, sure. And obviously, departure as well. Obviously, Murray Wallace, Sean Hutchinson, two stalwarts for Millwall in the last 10 years, but they've gone with pastures new, rightly so, and they've had their goodbyes, and it's time for new to come in. I think I just want to touch on obviously Tristan Kramer, mate. We've given him lots of praise in the last 6 months since his arrival, but there is that little bit of silver lining there, isn't there? If Tanganga goes, and at this point, I don't really know where I sit with the Tanganga situation. Part of me feels like there might be a potential he stays, and that's just my gut. I think
Me too.
yeah, like I think he enjoys his time. He's in London. He he's at Tottenham, etc., etc., etc. He's a London boy. Quite clearly enjoys playing for Millwall, and obviously he's the player of the season last season. But yeah, Kramer in particular, it fills you with a bit of confidence at least that there is a bit of a a pathway there. If one leaves, another one's ready to come in and be capable of doing the job. Albeit I'm not seeing him a lot at centre back.
Yeah, 1,000%, mate. There's the games he did play there. He actually really impressed me. So, and I think the biggest compliment you can play, and you can play him, and the most reassuring thing for us is when Tanganga was injured to them couple of games, you didn't actually miss him at all. And again, you compare that back to the start of last season, the 3 games he was out, we was shipping goals left, right, and centre.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the best compliment you can give to him for sure. I think let's move swiftly on to the fullback positions. Obviously, we've got Ryan Leonard contracted at right back, Danny McNamara also contracted right back. Joe Bryan at left back, singular left back there. I mean, I guess we'll go straight to that one first. I think obviously Bryan went on leaps and bounds, didn't he, last season? Really grew under Alex Neil, didn't he, Frankie? So I think he's probably a nailed-on mainstay for this season. You'd think, like his status in the squad, and also very experienced at this level too. I suppose then it feels like there's a deal in place for Sax Sturridge to arrive as well and be deputy. Obviously came in, done himself no harm towards the end of last season. But at left back, if we did get Sturridge in too to add to that scenario, feeling very confident in that position, I think.
I don't know if I'd say really confident, mate. More confident than I am now with just the one of them. Sturge was an interesting one for me. I think he did a lot better than I thought he was gonna. Like straight off the bat,
Yeah.
he really surprised me. But I'm still not convinced I saw enough to say in a 46 game season he is a, the type of player that can push Joe Bryan on, and that's what I think he needs. Someone that can really compete for the shirt and get the best out of him. Similar to Lenny at right back, to be fair, I think he'd be a better player.
Yeah.
And we had Kramer at right back that could push him and challenge him a little bit. So no, I'm not convinced Sturge and Bryan are good enough if we want to, as a group, if we want to sustain a playoff push. I'd happily be proved wrong, right? I think it'll probably come down to how many games Bryan can actually play.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting one. That
I suppose when you look at the squad, though, it's probably less of a priority, you could say, than as opposed to maybe the goalkeeping position. Perhaps that's how I feel anyway. I mean, I look at it. I think I take your point. I think obviously Bryan was a bit more at the start of the season, but he's the second half of last season, probably after Kramer and Delors, maybe our third best player. We was debating it towards the end of the season, weren't we? But his consistency under Alex Neil was just drastically improved, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Joe Bryan's performances were largely just complete talk and cheese, weren't they? From start to finish to the end of the season. It was almost like watching a completely different player. So credit where credit's due for him personally. And I think to your point, it's one of them positions where maybe you think, am I being a bit like greedy? Do you know what I mean? Of you can't have 2 first team left backs, right? It's just not sustainable. There's not enough minutes throughout the course of the season. So it would have been my priority. I think right back could be a priority over me. Goalkeeper still a concern that I'd have before left back. But it's probably one I think I still maybe would look at. Definitely, this is assuming Sturge comes in. If Sturge doesn't come in, then it's obviously then a major need.
Yeah.
I still think fullbacks are one of the areas where last season, if we had better strength in depth in them areas, would we have been able to then push on and get that 6th spot? I think so.
Yeah, me too. I do. I get what you mean. I think it's a nice to have, isn't it? But I'm not going to complain, I suppose, with the options available if Sturge comes into. I think that's where I'm at with that one. On right back, you mentioned just there a little bit. Obviously, Ryan Leonard is contracted as his Danny McNamara. I see today he posted on his social, Danny Mac. He's back on the grass in the sense, which means step forward in his recovery from his serious injury. Leonard obviously played the season a couple of years ago. Last season, missed a few games here or there for injuries. And, he's a bit of a mainstay, isn't he? Especially last few years and ever consistent. But also getting on quite a bit, that's fair to say. But with McNamara's injury, it does, present a problem there, doesn't it, I think?
Yeah, definitely. I think we were so lucky that Kramer coming in did the job he did second half the season after Lenny got injured in the same game as Danny against Cardiff, and the season at that point looked like it was in absolute dire straits, right? So
Yeah.
we were fortunate. Lenny's an absolute legend of the club. He's someone that I think we can rely on to do so many positions, and I wouldn't be anti seeing him drop into midfield again if we were to play a midfield three or to play centre back in a back five. I
Mhm.
think he could do that, and I'd put him in goal for that too. And I think you get something out of him. Do you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, you can trust Lenny, can't you? The Danny injury is a major problem because who knows what player we're getting back? Is it
Mhm.
going to be Danny that we know?
Mhm.
If we think Jensen's up in the air, I think Danny's even worse. That was such a bad injury.
Yeah, no, I'm with you indeed, mate. I think obviously Danny Mack's versatility was useful at times last season. Left back, right back, left back. He can do a job in them positions defensively, to say the least. I think going forward at times, I love Danny McNamara, but even I can acknowledge he's not the bombarding wing back that dictates to a system that plays that way. But then again, maybe we don't need that in the system Max still plays. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when he comes back. Hopefully he comes back fitting well and back to his best. But it definitely presents a problem there. I think with Leonard as well, mate. He's 33 years of age now. He strikes me. I think one of his main strengths is his athleticism. Done that word, said that word properly.
Yeah,
Um, that's where you look at Leonard. It's the fact that he can get up and down. He is athletic and can recover. He's also got a bit of speed to him. With injuries, there might be the question of maybe he starts to get a bit found out a little bit even as well. That is a worrying concern, I think, for me.
yeah. Before his injury, I actually thought he started to look like he was maybe struggling a little bit more than he was. Definitely the season before, he felt like he'd lost maybe a yard of pace. I don't think he had. I think he was just absolutely shattered. To be fair to the bloke, but with his age and the style of play, as to your point, mate, it's all about getting up and down, strong, aggressive. You can't do that if you're playing at 50%,
Mhm.
60%. He's going to need someone that can go in and carry some of the load for him.
Yeah,
And so that's an area of squad. I think at the back four, I think that's probably the one area I'll be saying about we have to get right back. That has to be a priority.
a long-term success though as well. Someone that's just going to come in and dislodge it a bit, isn't it? I suppose, but we'll see.
A 22-year-old mate, it's good for the model.
That's it. I'm younger than 24, fits the criteria, has a bit of experience. Tick, tick, tick. Let's go. Let's move to middle of the park anyway. We've got obviously departures sticking in mind. George Savile, George Honeyman, albeit Honeyman never really played that position much for us anyway, much of his stay. But Billy Mitchell, Casper Denor, the two senior contracted central midfielders for the club. Mitchell exercised a deal for another year. From Millwall, I'm looking to tie him down personally to a longer term contract. That's how I feel personally on that subject. I love Billy Mitchell. Denor, obviously, second in the play of the season voting, and the pair of them, it'd be nice to see the pair of them play together, quite consistently, to be honest with me. But you got then, obviously, Dan Kelly and Alfie Massey also contracted and making up the numbers in a sense in this position. Definitely feels an area to improve. But I mean, with Mitchell and Denor, mate, it's the key is keeping them both fit, I think. But you do well to find a better partnership for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Denor is obviously quality, right? You do well to
Mhm.
find Mill fan doesn't rate Casper Denor in this like at the minute. Obviously, started slow. But last year he was exceptional.
Yeah.
And I think Billy might be the most underrated player in our squad. To be honest with you, mate,
Mhm.
he's such a frustrating player because he just plays so well, looks so good. Feels like he's getting up to speed, and then he gets a bad injury, and
Yes.
then it takes him a long time to then get back. When he's fit and firing, I think he is potentially actually better than Casper. I think his energy and the whole backwards and sideways thing is a bit of a myth. I don't think we see that player anymore. He actually does spray the ball around and he can pick a pass. He can
Yeah.
travel with the ball. I think he's got a lot to his game. To your point, mate, if we can get him on the pitch consistently. And that's my biggest issue. I think is centre midfield that I think we've only got one guaranteed player that's going to be able to play a good amount of games next year.
Yeah, Denor played all 46 games last season, if memory serves me correctly, and was ever present. You do it again next season, there might be a moment he breaks down injured as well for a few games. So it's definitely an area I think we need to improve. I think on Kelly and Massey, I think Massey obviously had them a couple cup games start last season, impressed in pre-season, cultured on the ball, likes to play it around. And Kelly, on the other hand, came with a lot of promise, still has that promise for sure, but not really seen much from him yet, have we? And maybe with a full pre-season under his belt, this is his opportunity to come in and take his claim maybe.
Yeah, I think Kelly's got a lot to prove this year. He
Yeah.
obviously, to no fault of his own, he come into a lot of fanfare and a lot of drama because of almost it felt like it was the catalyst behind some of the Neil Harris stuff with Gallen and a lot of fan discontent around some of the window. So he has pressure on his shoulders because of that, and that's not really his fault. He's still a young man trying to learn the game and trying to adapt to English football, which is a massive, massive step up from the Scottish Premier League, as Kevin Nisbet will tell you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky one. I think Massey. I personally think Massey should just go out on loan. There's clearly a good player in there. Just give him a loan to a half decent non-league or a League Two club. Let him play a bit of football. We'll probably see a better player for it. So I think again, obviously we've said it before. I think there's question marks in that area because we've got 4 players in there. I'm not convinced 2 of them will be good enough to play Championship football next season.
I think with Kelly as well, remember he joined us late in August. It's his first summer in down, and hopefully the stars that align for him and he can kick on and show some of that promise that the club are willing to pay money for to get him in even before the end of his contract, because obviously he was meant to sign in January. I need to say that, well, I'm sure there's people halfway through typing their comment, but I can't wait to read some of the interactions of people saying that you think on his day Mitchell could be better than Denor. I listen, I know where you're coming from with that, but I can already see some of the comments coming through right now.
Bearing in mind, mate, I am one of Casper Denor's biggest fans. I think the boy absolutely mustard.
Yeah.
But I think Billy's are so frighteningly underrated that he has 1 or 2 games a season, and it is only 1 or 2, when he'll be absolutely exceptional, and he just breaks down for 3 months. And
yeah, 8 out of 10 to him most weeks, isn't it? That's probably the next step for him now, isn't it?
Yeah, he needs. He's probably getting to that stage in his career where there's a reason why he wasn't given a new contract this year. He was given it was given a 1-year extension rather than a new deal, wasn't he?
Yeah, true clause in his contract, basically.
Yeah, and a player of that ability should not be sitting there with 1 year on his deal, in my opinion. The fact that he is tells you a lot about his fitness record. Because if he was fit and playing every week, he'd be starting, right? Would he be with us? Would he have stepped on and gone to a better club? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I think he's on 170 odd appearances for the club, and I think the real make or break season almost. We're saying that with that many appearances behind his belt, but I think there's a real opportunity for him to knuckle it down and get into the side and sustain his position, especially with George Saville's departure. Right, let's get back to this graph. What's image? You've gone with the attack, the 3 behind the striker in a sense. We've got 2 winger positions, right and left side, and also number 10 position. So I think I might open this up to talk about it just quite free and openly across all 3 positions here, Frankie. So obviously on the right side, you've got Negley, Benicio Baker, Lovelace, who I might think plays more off the left, but again, shows the versatility in the options with these players. Because I think all of these players can play pretty much anywhere across these 3 positions. We've got Kundal and Bangor Williams as the 10s. Obviously, Bangor Williams fresh off his 6-year, 5-year deals, like a ridiculous offer for it to have, and good luck to him. And then obviously you've got Femi Aziz, Amarku, and Adam Mayer off the left-hand side. I'll wrap it up to you, mate. What are you thinking with these players and the depth available?
This one scares me, to be honest with you. I think this is one of the ones that I'm a little bit concerned. There's obviously a lot of depth there, but who knows what Lovelace, Benicio Baker, Mayer, to a lesser extent maybe, and Maku are actually going to do this year. Because I think Bangor Williams come in and was fantastic for that first sort of spell when he broke into the side. Obviously, he didn't sustain that, which would have been impossible for him to do. But he's maybe going to find this year harder than what we saw last year, where he's now been expected to do more and expected to deliver more for the side. So I think there's a lot of question marks over a lot of players in that area, just mainly because they're young kids, right? Not because we not think they're good enough, but it's such a young group. We need a couple of them to step up this year, and they're going to get the opportunity to do it in pre-season, I'm sure. I personally think I'd maybe like one more experienced head. I think Watmore weren't good enough in my opinion. I'm not sad to see him depart the club. It was the right time for him to move on. Done well for the club in his time here, but could we do with another 30+ player in a wide area? I think there might be space in there to get someone else in. What's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, no, I think inexperience is definitely something you read when you look through this. I mean, Kundal's played a lot of games in the Championship across multiple loan spells. started well, scored in his debut. Bangor Williams, untested really at this level, broke on the scene and got his injury. Negley, untested at this level, championship, obviously played abroad. Aziz, one of my favourite players last season, to be fair to him, when he played, injuries, I was the worry there. And then you've got Benicio Baker, Adam Mayer, Lovelace, not a lot of them. And the marker is the one that I think be interesting to see if he maybe gets moved this summer, to be honest. If we do strengthen his positions, I could see someone like him moving on, if I'm totally honest. But it's more because I think he's had his opportunities a bit. And again, similar injuries. It feels the common theme across here. I do take your point. I think it's definitely maybe somewhere you look to get that bit of experience. Someone that's maybe nearly 30 or just over 30 can come in and season at this level. I'm thinking like I'm not going to say his name, Jed Wallace, but there you go, Jed Wallace. But I'm that ship sails as far as I'm concerned. But you think about years gone by, someone like Albert Adomo who's still doing it and played 600 games in the championship. I'm not saying Albert Adomo, but someone of that criteria that's isn't championship level, has played a lot of games. I think I'm open to see who do you think is going to make the biggest impact out of all these players next season? Let's get one of your early predictions in. I think for me, I really am excited to see Lovelace, but I'm questioning his injury record. That's the only thing I'm worried about for him.
Do you mean specifically the younger players, mate, or can I include
Any of them? We're all young in this scenario.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's an interesting group. I think Aziz, I'm with you, mate. I think he was electric second half of the season. He needs to add more goal and assists. He needs to add more end product. But for me, I think the one I'm really excited about is Negley. I think in that Middlesbrough game, he come on was just ridiculous. You thinking to yourself, we're going to win this. We're going to get in playoffs. We're going to win the playoffs. And Negley's going to be the man. He's going to take us all away. We'll be in Europe for 3 years. I'd already planned it all out. And then he done his hamstring 3 minutes later. And they all went up in smoke a little bit, didn't it? So he's one for me where he'll step on big time next year. Having had a pre-season with the club, had a good look at the championship physicality-wise. I'm expecting big things from him next season.
It's a big contrast to having Ollie Burke, Duncan Watmore, George Honeyman playing out there. It's come on a bit, isn't it? A bit of uncertainty.
There was some dark days, weren't there, mate?
There's a bit of uncertainty around them. Let's have it right. But there's excitement there, isn't there, as well? And yeah, again, it's just there's a lot of question marks, but a lot of opportunities at the same time, if you want to split it that way, which is kind of where I'm at. I think there's opportunities. I mean, Kundal, just touch on him. I think with him having a pre-season, again, the same scenario, but it'd be interesting to see if Alex still tries to. I mean, look, we signed him for £1 million, just thereabouts. There's obviously hope around him. Just kind of disappeared a bit, but maybe with the opportunity, it doesn't strike me as someone with some puffy shoulders out there and go out there and get it, Frankie. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out there.
I think he really suffered from the formation change, to be honest with you. I think he obviously come in expecting to play in that attacking midfield position and then just within went to a 4-4-2 and that position no longer existed. And he found himself out the side and a little bit without a home. He needs to do better next year. We need to see more of him because he just didn't look strong enough or quick enough and just a bit lightweight. It's easy to crucify a player, right? It's easy to sit there and say he's not good enough, but he'll turn up not fit. He'd not even played a game of football all season. So there's definitely a player in there. My biggest concern for Kundal almost isn't Kundal. It's just if we're not going to play a formation that suits him, I could just see him getting lost a little bit because I don't think he could play centre midfield. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, I think I remember Jay saying it a lot. He plays central midfield. I don't see him being a midfield 2 for sure. Maybe midfield 3, perhaps, maybe. But he's just too lightweight for me to be in them positions, further back on the pitch for me. I think you need to get him in them positions where he'd done it in glimpses during games. I remember Sunderland away had an opportunity. I feel like I've referred to this chance about 5 or 6 times throughout different shows. But you get him in them pockets, as they say, in them positions where he can get the ball, bit of magic to get out of his feet, beats a player. He's that kind of player. You want him to be taking players on. Bangor Williams had a lot of that in abundance, but also Bangor Williams adds a bit of athleticism, a bit of height to his game and adds a bit more to it. Yeah, I'm excited to see RBW as well, for sure. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see with Kundal, for sure. But a lot of it depends on what we play exactly, of course. And that's also the excitement because this squad's got loads of different options, I feel like. And we're going to come on to the forward line now. And I think that's probably, with the addition of Coburn, the position I'm most satisfied with, really. I don't know about you, but obviously we've got this. That's the wrong graphic. This one here is Coburn, obviously Ivanovic, Kevin Nisbet's returned from his loan spell at Aberdeen. Macaulay Langstaff, and AJ Matthews. And you could throw to the mix. And Marco can play up there, mate. Lovelace
Mhm.
can play that position as well. Quite set and secure, I think, in them forward positions. But yeah, give us your rundown of the position and who do you think is a standout, mate, for next season for sure.
I think Ivanovic is obviously the one you're looking at thinking how he did last year, and you're looking for him to step on for again this season. Can he start to break into
Mhm.
15, 18 goals? If he does, we'll be absolutely flying. We've got some player in our hands. I'm also I'm excited about Coburn in a different way. I think it's like an apprehensive excitement, right? There's um there's obviously a good player there. He just comes with another big price tag and a big expectation. Do I think he can step on? Personally, I think he can. So hopefully he does. I think that again, the biggest question is what formation do we play? Because if we don't play with two up top, we don't need five centre forwards. But that's Neil's problem, right? It's not one for us to worry about. So no, I'm looking forward to that forward group. I think it's probably the strongest attacking options we've had since we've been in the championship.
Nice problem to have as well, isn't it? To have it right, isn't it? Like,
Mm.
I feel like we've normally done seasons thinking we need a striker. We've signed a striker for all including add-ons, potentially 5 million quid. The Serb's got the number 9 on his back. I love it. He's backed himself, mate. And if he can do anything like the previous number 9s that come to mind, Gregory, Harris, etc.,
Mhm.
we're laughing, ain't we? It's great problems to have. Again, if you come back to where does this all fit in, when you think about all the attacking players behind the strikers, and you mentioned departures or potential people leaving. Nisbet is obviously the big talking point, isn't it? And obviously Langstaff comes with that too. But what's your take on the Nisbet situation? He's obviously reported for pre-season. He's been pictured, I think, today on social media in training. Is it another roll of the dice for him? Can't doubt his quality. Obviously, winning the cup last season in Scotland as well, and he seems like who knows? He seems to be more fitter. Who knows? But he seems to be. If he can get his head down, and Alex Neil is having him, there could be a problem to have. There couldn't there?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because when he come in, I think he actually started okay,
Mm.
and obviously something then went in himself mentally, and he just switched off a little bit from it all and almost fell out of love with Mill quite quickly. The game at QPR he had when he got booed off in the 70th minute, whatever it was, or rings out. He was terrible that game.
Mm.
But there is a player there. I think the thing for me with Nisbet is the clubs that are going to want him are just no way going to have the money to pay his release fee. Well, he hasn't got a release fee, sorry, but to pay the money he would want for him.
Yeah.
So it would seem stupid to not give him at least pre-season and see what he's all about. See if he can earn the shirt and push Kobe and Ivanovic. If he can, I personally think there might be more about him than Langstaff,
Mhm.
which, and he's already here, it solves a problem without having to pay money for another striker. Because if he goes and Langstaff isn't good enough for the championship, you've then got to get another one.
Yeah.
What a waste of £1 million, right? Just persevere.
Yeah, we don't really know the contract lengths, but it's probably safe to assume, because we signed them both for a fair chunk from Millwall standards. Nisbet's probably got 1 year left of a 3-year deal, and
Yeah.
Langstaff's probably got 2 years left of a 3-year deal. So then if you're Millwall, you're thinking, what could you make the most on financially if we're going to play it that way? This is a tough question to answer, but you'd imagine Nisbet's potential true value, you wouldn't get the full ceiling amount, maybe. Maybe he needs to play games, and if he's enjoying it, then there could be a blossoming situation there for us. I kind of lean towards if anyone's going to depart, I don't want to write Langstaff off, but after last season's form, it didn't make it pretty reading for the fella. But
No.
it does open that kind of scenario, doesn't it? Of it might come down to, well, we might be able to get a bit more for Langstaff, or maybe Nisbet's on a higher wage. You might be like, let's get his wage and right off the books. And I think it will come down to playing and obviously
Mhm.
how they perform. But I do think there might be more at play there as well that might come into it. The bordering finances and such as well. Maybe there is a play there. I don't know what you think.
I think you're right. I think if you was to look at the two of them, I think it's even though I think Nisbet's person is probably just a bit edges it in terms of ability. I think Langstaff probably does have more of a selling value at the minute.
Mm.
It's the clubs that are going for Nisbet haven't got a pot to piss it in realistically. Whereas would there be League One clubs that would sit there and go, I'll offer you 750, 500k for Langstaff? I think there are. So I would say Langstaff has still got a market in the EFL, which keeps him an attractive option for someone.
Mm.
So he probably has the biggest sell-on value. I think for both of them, I'd give them the pre-season seat. Let one of them earn the right to have that starting, not starting place, but a first team role, and then go from there. I can't see us keeping both of them though.
No, I'm with you. I think I'm just counting here. So I've got 28, 29 contracted players if you count Sturge and Evans signing. It's
Yeah,
quite a lot, isn't it? Considering I'm about to flash a graphic up in a minute about where you think, and I'll let you talk through it in a second, but that there is going to be some movement. Obviously, some of these are youngsters, maybe make up numbers in the 21s and stuff, but it is a healthy position, isn't it, to be in nonetheless. It's great options, depth, question marks over some players, but opportunities still. It does feel like there might be some departures reading through this. That's how my personal take.
yeah. I think it's going to have to be. I think, but particularly on loan, it feels like there's a lot of young players in the squad that are crying out for and knocking on the door for a first team role. And not even just the younger players, right? But someone like a Maku, for example, we spoke about earlier.
Mm,
He needs to do something this year. And if he's not going to get the minutes at Millwall, he has to go to League One. He has to play football.
mm.
Not just for himself, but for us as well, to actually make sure that we'd be able to recoup some of the money we invested in him. That just makes sense. So I think there'll definitely be a handful of departures, maybe one or two that we don't want to see go, like Jaff as well. So that also makes things harder. But I think we need to utilise the loan market this better this year, because 28 is probably too big, if anything.
Yeah, and then I'll flash up here, mate. I'll let you talk through it. But obviously, you've done the first team squad, which we've looked at and what we're staring at in a minute. And then we've got your potential additions. And if they all came to fruition, you've got 6 more additions. So then you're looking at nearly a 35-man roster there almost. So again, some of these additions might then cater to players going out on loan for development or going back to the 21s, etc. But talk us through what you got here, mate. Like I said, I think there's 6 additions you've got on here that perhaps you'd like to see in an ideal world if we were playing Football Manager, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think most of them are quite self-explanatory, I guess. I think goalkeeper's one we obviously spoke about when we went through that position. We do need someone else to come in and push Crocombe, and because we don't know where Jensen's going to be when he returns and when that return will actually be. I think Evans, he's obviously still a young guy. Would he benefit from a loan where he plays 46 games and he's exposed to men's football a bit more? I think that'd be the best thing for him. Right back again, I think right back's fairly obvious, right? We definitely need one. We don't know what the situation is with Danny. Leonard is 32, 33.
Mhm.
A new right back seems obvious. Left back, it looks like it's going to be Sturge, so that's probably quite an easy one where you can tick that
Yeah.
off. And then I've put left-sided centre back. Do we need a centre back? No, probably not. But I think we've been kicking a can down the road with Cooper for some time now in terms of not replacing that left-footed option.
Mhm.
And I'd be nervous where Alex Neil's mentioned a couple of times he likes to have balance in his back four. If Cooper was to get injured, I think we have got a problem at left-sided centre back. So I'd want a younger guy in there to come in and sort of help on that left-hand side. I'm not sure.
Prater is the obvious link, isn't it, with late? And he's a left-sided centre back, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, exactly that, mate. Somewhere in that mould would be perfect. So whether it's him or someone else, as long as they're centre back, as long as they're left-footed, I'll be happy. Grant's an interesting one. Who knows if he'll be good enough this year? I can't see him playing after we re-signed Wes Harding, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But who knows? That might be largely dictated by the Tanganga situation. But I personally see Grant either leaving on a permanent or leaving on loan again, maybe to a League One side this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Fell forward, you've got midfield and a right wing, mate.
yeah, exactly, mate. So again, centre midfielder, I think is a fairly obvious one. We definitely need a centre midfielder that can come into them positions and be another a strong first team option. We've all spoke about the new model on the recruitment strategy in terms of getting players in young and that we would be able to improve. I think these next few positions, centre midfield and right winger, are
Mhm.
two positions where we just need experience, mate. I wouldn't mind seeing players around 28 to 30 would come in. And the example I keep using in my head with right midfield, because we are stacked in them wide areas. If we were chasing a game, first game of the season, we were away at Norwich, we're 1-0 down, and you want to put balls into the box for Kobe and Ivanovic, who's doing that? Because that's not Negli's game. It's not really as easy as game.
Mhm.
God knows what. Langstaff and Benicio, Lovelace and Benicio Baker are actually all about.
Mhm.
Who can put the ball in the box? I wouldn't mind someone out there that can go out there and just whip balls in the box all day long. Again, I'm not saying Jed, but along the lines of Jed, someone that's a right-footed right midfielder
Yeah.
would suit us down to the ground, I think.
Yeah. I think in fairness to that, I think Aziz can definitely do it from the left. We're not seeing it
In the
enough.
left, he can. Yeah.
I'm not seeing it enough, but I do think there is scope for that. Yeah, I mean, you've got 6 players there. I don't disagree with any of it if in an ideal world. Like I said, I think there will be departures to cater to some of this.
Mhm.
Adam Mayo is question one, isn't it? Is he going to kick on? I think at Bromley, he didn't rip up any trees, didn't see much about him. I know he played left back after a few games as well. So is he going to grab the headlines playing that position? Yeah, who knows? But I think, I think central midfield. When I was thinking about this prior to doing the show, I think for me it was central midfield and right back were the two like must-haves for me. Like
Mhm.
if I was to prioritize it, I think right back and central midfield are definitely the two because we discussed that earlier on, and obviously Matt Lamar's questionable injury and what's he going to come back to be like. And then midfield, if Mitchell breaks down or Denor breaks down, you've got Kelly and Massey to come in, and not to say neither of them could step into the shoes. I think Kelly, there is talk that he potentially can, but we've not seen it yet. So yeah, I think central midfield for me is the priority, especially with Savil's departure and Honeyman's departure there. And yeah, obviously if Tanganga goes, opens up a whole void at the back, mate. It's a yeah. I think I don't disagree with any positions you marked there for sure. What about so with the goalie proposition? Is there a fit? So we've got Crocombe coming in. I don't know how long his contract is, but maybe say 2-year deal, maybe.
I'd assume so, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just suspect it's a 2-year deal. I mean, Roberts was left after 1 year, so I mean, whatever. I suspect it's a 2-year deal, and obviously we have no other goalies available to play as we speak right now. So maybe if you are a goalkeeper thinking you've got your number one injured, but he's due to come back, all being well, which how would that work? Like we can't sign another goalie that's expected to come in and play when you've got Croker, Jensen available. If he has to come back in say 4 months time or 3 months time, maybe it's a loan signing in the goalie department potentially. Someone's coming in and fill the void till January perhaps, or a younger goalkeeper from a Premier League club perhaps.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, it would be a loan. I think someone like Josh Cooley from Tottenham, in my opinion, would be absolutely perfect.
Yep.
I'm not sure I completely agree about the number one shirt because I think if you look at Roberts, he obviously signed as a number two. In himself, though, I think he genuinely believed he could push Jensen and get opportunities, and hence why he's then left now because he's obviously realised that's not going to happen. So it wouldn't shock if I was a goalkeeper coming into this situation, I'll be looking at it thinking, well, yeah, I've got what potentially 4 or 5 months to prove that I am the number one goalkeeper in this football club, regardless of Jensen, regardless of the new guy whose name is going to escape me every time he comes saying it, Crocombe. Regardless of them two, like there's an opportunity there for someone, but I think it probably will be a loan that best will in the world Jensen comes back and they can go back out in January.
Yeah, no, that's true. We'll have to wait and see. I just think if you're the club as well, you wouldn't want to. It's not going to be someone who's going to come in. It's going to be on a 3-year deal. Like it's going to be a stopgap, isn't it? It feels like
Yeah.
anyway. Maybe Crocombe is the stopgap, and Evans they're happy to back. Maybe they're quite happy to go with that. But I think also with the departures of Ethan Wadey and is it Adai, the two younger goalies as well. I don't think there's another one coming through that's going to make up numbers and be the third choice to start the season. So I think that's definitely
There was the young guy, wasn't there, that signed the new contract in January, begins with a P.
The Polish
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. So yeah, but again, like if there was an injury to Crocombe, you've got Evans and him. I think you'd be very short there. So I think the club will be acting on that, but it'd be interesting to see how it plays out for sure. I think, yeah, lots there to debate and talk about. I think we've put together a little shortlist there, mate, and we'll have to wait and see how it plays out now. I think it's exciting, isn't it? We don't even know how the team's going to shape up, mate, do we? So it's just a fun element, isn't it?
No, mate, none of us thought we were going to sign 8 players in January. But if there's every chance we could sign 14 players this window, all of them are like 12 years old. So I haven't heard of any of them.
Yeah,
Like,
the Chelsea, the Championship, mate, just stopped by then.
that's it, mate. Playing blue, we basically are Chelsea. Yeah, just with Chelsea with no money.
We've got a bit of money by Mill standards now, mate. That's for sure. Yeah, I think that's probably us for today, isn't it? I think it'd be interesting to get everyone's thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Frankie, thanks for putting that together for me and talking us through that. And yeah, exciting times, mate.
Yeah, nice, mate. No, I enjoyed it. It's Yeah, it's definitely a bit different to last season, right? When we're looking at the squad thinking, "These are all old and there's just not enough players." This is certainly a different problem, so exciting times ahead, hopefully.
Exciting times ahead, and we'll be sure to talk and react to any siders that come up in the future window.